All right, episode 761 is brought to you by our private community on Patreon, Lifeblood's Methylene Blue, the Relax Far Infrared Sauna, and the Trioxy Fresh Ozone Water Machine from Creatrix Solutions. All right, welcome, my friends, to episode 761 of Extreme Health Radio. Wow, thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. Thank you for all your support over the years. It's been amazing. I really appreciate it. Got a really cool show today. I have a bunch of listener questions that you guys sent in on our Instagram story. So if you're not following us on Instagram, please do at Extreme Health Radio 2. And follow our stories because we post a lot of cool stuff in there. But a couple days ago, I asked if you had any questions, and turns out you had more questions than I can answer. So I'm going to do my best. And I just want to make a little caveat too. This isn't medical advice. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a trained licensed practitioner of any kind. I'm just a guy who likes to research, and I love learning and I love sharing my research. And again, none of it is medical advice. So always seek, a medical doctor, because we all know medical doctors are the only people that can cure people, right? So anyway, check with your medical doctor and take this for what it is, non-medical advice. All right, so what's going on? So I recently just finished a book called Cancer's Cause, Cancer's Cure by a guy by the name of Morton Walker. Now, if you are dealing with cancer, or if you are afraid of cancer, afraid of contracting cancer, being diagnosed, if you're afraid of whatever the case may be, maybe you have a friend or family member with cancer, give them this book or read this book, because this book will blow your mind. I'm going to start doing little book reports on YouTube, and I'm going to post them up on our Brighteon channel on Rumble and Bitchute as well. But they're just little 6-7 minute videos that I'm going to post about what I think about these books that I'm reading. And I just finished Cancer's Cause, Cancer's Cure, and you can get that on Amazon. I'll try to put a link to it in the show notes for today's show too. Right now I'm reading Curing the Incurable, but with Vitamin C, Infectious Diseases and Toxins. And this is a really good book. So I'll have a lot to share about this maybe next week when I'm done with it. But Cancer's Cause, Cancer's Cure, I did a 6 to 7 minute video on YouTube. I'll post that in the description, because you guys have to listen to this book or read it or whatever the case may be. You guys have to check this book out. It's really good. So it goes into Dr. Mirko Beljanski's, he's a French biochemist, and it gets into his life's work and what actually happened to him at the end of his life, which was pretty crazy. Of course they do what they did to him, because the cancer industry doesn't want people to heal. They want to keep people sick, and they want to monopolize the system so that they make money and they control everything. So that book is really good. And he gets into 4 herbs, which I will get into a little bit later on in this episode, but basically 4 botanicals that he's isolated specific molecules from to repair the structure of the DNA molecule. It's an amazing book. So if you're dealing with cancer or worried about cancer, that's a good book. Cancer's Cause, Cancer's Cure. So for those of you that have been following us on Instagram, you probably know we lost a chicken, our first chicken that we lost. Her name was Marge, and she had Marek's disease. I think it's called M-A-R-E-K-S, Marek's disease. And apparently it's a viral infection that can lead to cancerous tumors, which is what happened to her. And she was relatively young. And so I guess she wasn't kept in good shape before we got her. And she had like a golf ball sized tumor already in her intestines. And so that was really sad. We didn't find out until the very end, until she started getting sick. And it was sad. We had her on PEMF. I had rife frequencies, although I couldn't find a Marek's disease rife frequency for her. That would have been really great. But I had her on PEMF. I had her on red light. We did ozonated water with her. We did everything we could. And that was sad. And if you followed us on Instagram, you probably saw the videos of us burying her. We had a little ceremony with the kids, and the kids are 4.5 twins, and they learned about death and what death means and what happens. And it was really cute little life lesson. But I guess that's what happens, right? When you living on a farm, kind of, you have life around you, and sometimes not all of it makes it. So we lost Marge. Now we're down to 10 chickens. But our chickens are starting to do good. If you guys have chickens, are you noticing that they're not laying lately? But now ours are starting to lay a lot. And I know there's a war on chickens right now. So they definitely want to demonize chickens and make sure that we don't have chickens. There's apparently some articles about how the egg yolk is really good for deactivating the big C little v virus. So who knows? But we know that there's a war on chicken, and so they don't want us to be healthy and strong. So I think we're going to get a few more, I hope. If Kate really loves chickens, as you know. And so she'll probably get like 10 more if we could. But yeah, spring is coming. So we're going to get our garden beds going. We have a few, like 5 or 6 fruit trees on the side of our house. And in between those trees, we have raised beds now. And we're going to start growing some root vegetables in there and see how that goes. And we've got a lot of plans for the spring garden and planting more fruit trees. And so it's going to be fun. I'm really excited about it. It's always been my kind of dream to have like a full farm. I'd like to have some goats too. That would be cool. A dream of mine would be to have all this like across the street from an awesome beach in Hawaii and surf all day and garden the second half of the day. That'd be awesome. But yeah, so that would be fun. So we're going to revamp our chicken run and see if we can get some more room for the chickens going. So that'll be pretty cool. Okay, so we got a lot of questions here. Before I get to the questions, I want to thank our Patreon premium members, our newest premium members, Lisa Switzer, Michael Strong, Allison B., Amber Poloni, Inglath Cooper, Jennifer, and Julie Neck. Thank you guys. You guys are awesome, awesome, awesome. You guys are premium Patreon members. And I appreciate that so much. That is awesome. This show is dedicated to you, and we thank you for supporting us on Patreon. All right, so we got a lot of questions here, and I'll try to get to as many as I can. And I'm going to kind of go off the top of my head with most of them. Okay, so let's see. The first question comes from Britt Mack. It says, can you teach or get someone to teach about doing IV ozone for nurses, home IV ozone? Yes. Okay. So this is an interesting question because most of you guys know, if you follow me on Instagram or wherever else, you probably know that I've really kind of dedicated a lot of my knowledge and time this year to learning about ozone and learning about the different aspects of ozone therapy, how you could get ozone into the body, and just learning as much as I possibly can about ozone. And we recently bought a full body ozone bag for my dad. And I've got an ozone machine here. We do the ozonated water. We use the water in like a bunch of different ways. I'm going to start doing all kinds of other really interesting ozone experiments here soon. And so that's my plan, actually, is to at some point create kind of a high level course on keeping it really simple. Like, okay, get this machine and then do X, Y, Z. And this is how you do all the different treatments. Because if you're new to ozone and don't understand, it's like having a doctor, an ambulance, an emergency room, a surgeon, all at home. It's incredible, incredible stuff. You could do ozone bagging over non-healing wounds or any cuts and scrapes or any skin cancers or anything like that. You could do ozone cupping over specific areas of the body, like over the liver. You could do ozone water. You can drink it. You can gargle in your mouth after you eat. You could put it in your water pick for using your water pick at night. You can spray it on any wounds. You can spray it on your face. If you have any eczema or stuff going on in your skin, you can spray it there. It has a million uses. You can rinse your fruits and vegetables with it. We spray it in our dog's mouth. We spray it in our kid's mouth. We've sprayed it on our fruit trees to kill little bugs and stuff growing on the leaves. It has a million different uses, and that's just the water. And so you can do ear and nasal insufflations. You could do Oh my gosh, it goes on and on. So there's a million different ways to use ozone, and I really look forward to putting together something. So hopefully that's soon. I don't know when. Hopefully within a year. I'd like to do that. I'm kind of mapping out an outline right now of the structure of it, but I plan on making a few courses like that actually, and putting them available on our website so that you guys can purchase them and get sort of like high level information on this stuff. So thank you for the question. That was good. Are there any kid-friendly supplements you give the twins? Yeah. So for twins, for our kids, they're 4.5. And at 4.5, you really can't, it's kind of difficult, isn't it, to give a 4.5-year-old some supplements to swallow. So we focus primarily on food and liquids. So like, for example, let's say we scramble up some eggs. What we'll do is we'll take a couple of the beef liver capsules from MitoLife. I like those ones because he's added a couple milligrams of copper, bisglycinate, into the beef liver just to make sure. And what we'll do is we'll scramble up 3 or 4 eggs, and we'll put a couple capsules of those. We'll mix it in with eggs with a little bit of milk, a little bit of salt, and, give it to them that way. And that's a good way of sneaking stuff in. Or if we do smoothies with the kids, we'll put some desiccated beef liver capsules in the smoothie. They can't even taste it. We'll sneak a couple egg yolks in there, stuff like that. So what we'll do is we'll, typically sneak stuff into their food as much as possible. And then in their water, what we do is we have the minerals from, have you guys ever tried the Vital Earth minerals? They're really cool. And they turn the water kind of brown, but we have those water bottles that they're not glass, you can't see into them, So the kids don't know what color the water is. And what's cool about the Vital Earth one is that you can't taste it. You really can't taste it at all. So it's got all the minerals in it, and fulvic acid and all that. It's really good. So we put that in our kids' water, and we kind of encourage them to drink water, as much as we can. And then at night, what we do is we've created something like, it's called baby drops, or they call them big boy drops now, is we use the bottles from Living Stream's Mission. Now, we carry this in our store, Living Stream's Mission probiotics. What I love about theirs is that there are a lot of liquid supplements there. And so what we'll do is we'll take the empty bottles that they come in, and then we'll add our own liquids to it. So what I'll do is I'll add in like apple cider vinegar, just like a teaspoon or less. We'll add some coconut water kefir. We'll add some probiotics. We'll add some Intramax. We'll add some others, a couple drops of stevia, and maybe some whole food vitamin C powder. And, that might fill up half the bottle, and then we'll fill the rest with just regular water. And we'll kind of shake that up a bit. And it turns out to be really sweet. And then we'll give those kids 8 full droppers before bed. And that's kind of how we get their supplements in a little bit. And then after that, we'll take the ozone water, we'll brush their teeth, and then we'll take the ozone water and we'll spray that into their mouth before they go to bed. So that's kind of how we do it. And, as they get older, maybe they'll do supplements and stuff like that. But right now, just trying to focus on food and adding some things to the food and kind of sneak it in, kind of like how all parents do. So that was a good question. Let's see. How can I heal iris pressure in the eye? The doctor suggests laser surgery. Whoa. Isn't that funny how doctors just it's like there's no real hey, how did this happen? What traumatic events happened in your life? What's going on? What's your diet like? What's your environment like? What are your daily habits like? What's your stress levels like? What do you do every day? It's just like, oh, you have this pressure in your eye. Okay, surgery. That's like, what's wrong with these people? My goodness. Okay. So with eye pressure, there's a lot of things you can do with the eye. And some of this I got from our protocol in the Patreon. We have one on vision that covers glaucoma, myopia, macular degeneration, all the different eye issues. But typically with eye pressure, it can be like a thickened or a growth could be on the cornea, or the cornea itself could be thicker than it should. So that's one of the reasons why the pressure in the eye could be big. So the question is, why is the cornea thicker? It could be a calcification issue. Could be lots of reasons for that. Or it could be like there's fluid in the eye that's supposed to flow in the eye, and it's supposed to drain. And so if your drainage is restricted, then that could cause fluids to build up, and it could create a rise in eye pressure. And so the question is like, which one of these two things is it? Is it restricted drainage, or is it a thickened cornea? And depending on which one, which direction to go. And typically restricted drainage is more on the lines of glaucoma and not macular degeneration, at least according to my research. And so I did find some studies that kind of correlate excess caffeine consumption with elevated eye pressure. So that could be something to look at. Like if this question is for you, are you drinking lots of coffee, or have you drank lots of coffee? And so that's something to think about. If you are, you may try getting off of it and see if that helps at all. And this is interesting too. The American Journal of Ophthalmology. Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the show so far. I wanted to tell you about sauna therapy. And I don't know if you guys do sauna therapy on a regular basis. I do. I've been doing so for 10 years. And the sauna that I love the most and have been using all this time is the Relax Far Infrared Sauna. And what I love about the sauna is that, A, it's cost effective. It doesn't cost $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 like most other saunas. It's portable, which means if you have a tight space, you can store it underneath your bed. After each use, you can put it in the closet, or you can even loan it to a friend. It's very low EMF. It uses far infrared light though, which helps to increase circulation, increase cardiovascular output, increase heat shock proteins, which has a direct effect on immune cell function. It also helps improving lymphatic drainage, and most importantly, sweating out toxins that you're exposed to on a daily basis. This is by far my favorite health piece of equipment I have in my home. I'll put a link to it on today's show page or on our store, biochargeme.com. Mentioned that there are studies that show that marijuana can decrease eye pressure for about 3 to 4 hours, which is really interesting, right? So you may want to consider that if that's legal in your state. Some things that I would do for eye health, and I believe this would help as well, is avoiding blue light, because we know that high frequency blue light damages the retinal tissues and the retinal cells in the eye, which lead to macular degeneration. There's lots of studies on that. I was just reading one of those studies to my mom the other day. So avoiding blue light, what does that look like? Well, you could wear blue blocking glasses, because really what it's causing is that it's causing oxidative stress in the eye. This high frequency of blue light is causing oxidation in the eye, which causes a lack of oxygen and an oxidation. And so that's going to damage the retinal tissues and lead to macular degeneration and other eye issues as well. So you could cover up with blue blocking glasses, which is what I do. You could get a program called Iris Tech. That's on our store, biochargeme.com. Iris Tech is a good software program. I use that one. I use both, the glasses plus Iris Tech, because I want to be able to see when I'm 90. I don't want to be blind. So I do both. And then the other thing is avoiding polyunsaturated fatty acids. And because there's lots of studies. If you go to our Vision highlight on Instagram, you'll see a lot of those studies. Because those fats oxidize, they lose electrons and they break their hydrogen bonds, which causes electron loss and oxidation. And so whenever you have that going on in the eyes, it could lead to glaucoma, macular degeneration. If it happens in the heart, it could be coronary artery disease. So I would avoid blue light and avoid polyunsaturated fatty acids. I would get on vitamin C. Again, MitoLife has a really good vitamin C. You can get on vitamin K. MitoLife has that as well. Without the D3, it's just K by itself. And I would get on vitamin E as well. So all these I get myself from MitoLife, vitamin E, vitamin K, vitamin C. And then you also may consider ozone. So Dr. Kondrat, I was listening to an interview with oh gosh, what's his name? The father of ozone. I forget what his name was. But he was talking about Dr. Condrat having really good success with, I think it was macular, it could be glaucoma, with using ozonated water eye drops. So there's lots that you can do here. The other couple things I would do is look into is DMSO or MSM eye drops. And you can get those from Dr. or Sam, I think it's Dr. Sam, Berne, drsamburn.com, or Amanda Vollmer. I think it's DMSO.store, if my memory is correct, for her DMSO eye drops. So I would do that. And this is a recipe that I saved from some of Dr. Jennifer Daniels' work. And this recipe is actually available in the Vision protocol on Patreon, but I'll just share it with you here. So she says to cut 15 slices of ginger. It doesn't have to be peeled and it doesn't have to be clean. Just cut 15 slices of ginger. And then you boil a cup and a half of water, RO or distilled water. You just boil it, throw the slices of ginger in there and let it simmer for 10 to 15 minutes. And then you strain it. And when you strain it, it should be a little bit brown. It shouldn't be clear. It should be a little bit brown. If it's not brown, boil it for 5 more minutes at a time until it gets to be a little bit brown. And then what you do is you let that get to room temperature and you got it strained now. And now take 1 teaspoon of that and add it to a cup of water, filtered water. Okay. So now you got this cup of filtered water with a teaspoon of this liquid in it, right? And then you can go on Amazon and get an eye cup. Don't use a dropper, use an eye cup. And then you put that in your eye and you hold that there in your eye for 60 seconds with your eyes wide open. And you do each eye 60 seconds, 60 seconds. And then you do that for 30 days. And she claims that has a profound impact on vision, clearing out eye floaters, reducing eye pressure, all this kind of stuff. So that would be, something I would do as well. And again, this whole recipe is in our Vision protocol. I don't think it's on Patreon. It's on Patreon, but it's not available yet. At least I don't think it is. If you go to our Patreon site, you'll see when it becomes available, depending on which tier you join. So that's what I would do. I would get off, blue light. I would get off the polyunsaturated fatty acids. I would get on vitamin E. I do ginkgo. I would do bilberry and ginkgo. There's lots of studies on those showing that they reduce eye pressure. And so that's what I would do. Lots you can do for the eye. It's really cool. In fact, we have a molecular hydrogen device, the AquaCure, and that comes with goggles that you can put over your eyes and do a focused treatment right over your eyes, directing the Brown's gas right onto the eye. So that's something else. So there's a lot of cool things that no one's really talked about or heard of. So it's pretty cool to have access to all this information. All right. So next question here. What does your daily diet look like for you and for your wife and for your kids? Okay, cool. That's a good question. Well, it's pretty simple. So let me just say, okay, so when I first get up in the morning, 4 days a week, I will drink 32 ounces of ozonated water without any supplements on an empty stomach before I eat anything. That's 1 mason jar. So I drink typically 3 mason jars full of water per day. The first one, 4 days a week, is with ozone infused into it. And then the other 3 days of the week, instead of putting ozone, I drink the water with minerals in it. And then I take that with 5 of the MitoLife Dissolve It All capsules. And I'll take those in the morning, and that same day I'll take 5 before bed as well. So systemic enzyme therapy is really, really powerful stuff. And the ones from MitoLife are the best ones I've found. And so I'll do that on Wednesday and on the weekend. And then Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, I take the ozone water. So then I let both of those sit for about 30 minutes, just kind of let it go through me. And then I'll have some breakfast. Maybe it's an egg, maybe it's some oatmeal, maybe it's a piece of butter toast with eggs. And I'll have my coffee after that or with it. Sometimes I'll skip that and just have the coffee. And I feel really good on that. And then I will usually have lunch, which will be like a sandwich. I'll usually just do one slice of sourdough organic bread, and maybe I'll do a couple slices of organic sliced turkey and some avocado, and at lunch I'll take my supplements, and at dinner I'll take my supplements as well. That's when I do that, and that's what I have for lunch usually, and then I'm sipping on my water throughout the day. And then for dinner or for lunch, I could also have some leftovers if there's leftovers from the night before. And then dinner is usually like, beef stew or wraps, beef with wraps, or steak or hamburger, or some sort of meat containing meal with a salad or with some avocado on the side or something like that. Pretty simple. And that's pretty much, and then a few nights a week, we'll have a little bit of ice cream, organic ice cream, a couple nights a week. But that's about it. Pretty simple, and, pretty straightforward. And I'll just do my supplements, and that's pretty much it as far as what I eat. And the kids eat the same, except, minus the supplements, and my wife as well. She does the supplements, the kids don't. And that's pretty much it. Let's see. Daily diet. All right, there we go. And here's an interesting question. Natural ways to heal from PVC. My husband was prescribed flecainide. I'm not sure exactly. These medications, I tell you, like, they come up with the craziest names. So PVC is premature ventricular contractions, and they're extra heartbeats that begin in one of the two lower chambers of the heart, or ventricles. And what happens is that these extra heartbeats, they disrupt the regular beating rhythm of the heart. And sometimes it can cause a sensation of fluttering or like a skipped heartbeat or something like that. We've all had that. And it's pretty similar to atrial fibrillation, which affects about 1% to 2% of the population. And so there's a lot going on. Whenever I think about like a disruption in the rhythmic cycles of the body, I always think nervous system. And what I think immediately too is a disconnect to the things that make us wild, like Daniel Vitalis used to talk about, rewilding ourselves. Are we living a situation where we're sleeping next to a Wi-Fi router? Maybe we're on our cell phone all day long texting and stuff. Or maybe we have Wi-Fi in the house turned on all night long when we sleep. Maybe we are next to a cell tower. Maybe we're next to a smart meter, stuff like that. And we're just spending a lot of time indoors, under artificial light that causes cancer and causes circadian rhythm mismatches. And so being disconnected from the rhythmic natures and the cycles of life is the first thing I think of when it comes to like this PVCs or atrial fibrillation. A lot of people that work with computers have this problem, I've noticed, or working in data centers or driving Teslas and then going to an office and being inside all day, exposed to Wi-Fi. You're getting a disconnection, not only from nature's, rhythms and cycles, but you're also being exposed to non-native EMF in super high levels. And so this is going to cause all kinds of like wiring issues and timing issues and stuff like that. So the way to do that is, or the way to overcome that is to obviously lessen the time that you spend in artificial environments, right? And the time you are in artificial environments, protect yourself by wearing clothes that protect your skin from the light. Wear blue blocking glasses. If you're able to wear anything that protects your body from these frequencies, that might be something to consider as well. And then get outside as much as you can, take little tiny breaks throughout the day. It could be 1 minute even, or 30 seconds. Just get outside, take your shoes off, ground, take your glasses off, and just do that as much as you can throughout the day. So that's one thing that I would do from a lifestyle perspective. And then the other thing I would do is first thing I would do is take iodine. I found a study, and I shared this on our Instagram a while back. It's called Atrial Fibrillation, Arrhythmias and Iodine, and it's from the Health Alert, June of 2006, volume 23, issue 6. And it says here, iodine supplementation may be the missing link in a good percentage of heart arrhythmia cases, especially atrial fibrillation. The body needs adequate stores of iodine for the heart to beat smoothly. Most of the stubborn cases of cardiac arrhythmias and atrial fibrillation that were not able to be completely corrected with our cardiac protocols have now been resolved with adequate supplies of iodine to the protocol. So what I would do is get on iodine and try it out and see if it works. So this is from a book called The Iodine Crisis by Lynn Farrell. I finished that a little while ago, and that's really good. And so she has a salt loading protocol for 2 weeks before you start increasing your iodine. And she recommends starting at 12.5 milligrams and then working your way up to 50 milligrams a day. So again, not medical advice. This is just what is referenced in that book. So, and here's NAD, nicotinamide riboside, a novel form of vitamin B3, may help maintain mitochondrial function by stimulating a cellular repair pathway, suggests a new study. And it says here, NR supplementation is new and exciting intervention that merits testing in the human treatment of heart failure and other cardiac conditions, said Professor Shah in a press release. So it says here, the study findings show the potential of B3 to activate a certain gene, and extremely encouraging merit further. Whoops, my computer went south. Your computer ever do that? It just turns black? Like, what happened? Okay, so let me find out where I was. The screen just went black on me. Okay, encouraging and merit further research into the potential for NR to impact human cardio or cardiac health. So vitamin B3, again, the one I take is from MitoLife. It's like MitoLife has all the best supplements. And then I would do vitamin E. I would protect myself from EMF. The other thing I would do is consider chiropractic because the adjustment of the spine directly impacts the nervous system of the body. And then I would do magnesium on a pretty regular basis, daily, if possible. So those would be places I'd start. And then I'd do as much grounding as I can, feet off or shoes off, feet on the ground, outside, no sunglasses on. And just do that for as much as you can in the daytime. And here's an interesting sort of similar article about heart health in general. And it says it's called Iron, Atherosclerosis, and Ischemic Heart Disease from July 26, 1999. It says here that in 1981, Sullivan proposed that iron depletion protects against ischemic heart disease. He argued that the difference in the incidence of heart disease between men and women could be explained by differences in levels of stored iron. And he argued in support of his theory that myocardial failure occurs in patients with iron storage disorders and that there is accumulation of stored iron with age in men and after menopause in women. That's from the JAMA Network.com. A study by Laufer showed a significant correlation between iron stores and cardiovascular mortality. In men, iron stores assessed by serum ferritin concentration rise after adolescence. In women, iron stores remain low and only begin to rise after the age of 45, which is around menopause right there for a lot of women. So is there a connection between the accumulation and the storage of iron and other heavy metals and exposure to Wi-Fi causing a dysregulation of the body's ability to stay in harmonization and to stay in a rhythmic schedule? Maybe. Here's another one. Donation of blood is associated with reduced risk of myocardial infarction. And this was a Finnish study that was, it took place over 9 years with over 2,529 men, which basically said that those who donated blood on a regular basis had an 88% reduced risk of heart attack. This is crazy, right? So you want to reduce your risk of a heart attack, donate blood on a regular basis. So that's according to a 9-year Finnish study. So, and then another final study on general heart health and hypertension. It says sauna bathing and incident hypertension. A prospective cohort, 13 June 2017, says here, sunbathing is associated with reduced cardiovascular risk, but the mechanisms underlying this beneficial effect are not entirely understood. We aim to assess the relationship between sauna bathing and the risk of incident hypertension. And it goes on to say, regular sauna bathing is associated with a reduced risk of hypertension, which may be a mechanism underlying the decreased cardiovascular risk associated with regular sauna use. So that's interesting, right? So regular sauna use, perhaps doing a blood donation, if that makes sense to you and your blood levels are good, that could be something to look into. And so that's what I would do. I would reduce polyunsaturated fatty acid consumption, avoid blue light, non-native EMF, get outside as much as you can, and take iodine and take vitamin E and niacinamide from MitoLife. Get some chiropractic, get some magnesium going. And I bet if you do this for 30 days, you'll see a significant improvement. Again, not medical advice, just stuff I've read on the internet. All right. So what do you think about omega-3s? Are they toxic? I first want to thank all of you amazing people that have joined our Patreon community. We haven't even launched yet, and I'm so humbled. So I really appreciate you guys joining. If you don't know what Patreon is, it's basically a platform where people who consume content can support people who create the content. So what I'm creating on Patreon are basically extremely detailed guides or health protocols of what I would do in certain health conditions. And so right now, each guide is taking me anywhere from 60 to 80 hours of work coming up with research. And I link to products and I link to specific protocols and books and resources and research papers. Like sometimes some of these protocols have over 100 links just to the research based on each particular thing I'm recommending. So I've got one on vision, one on skin cancer, skin health in general, fibroids, lipoma, cholesterol, high blood pressure, eczema, diabetes, bone health. I'm going to be doing one on gray hair, on cardiovascular health. So I'll be doing 3 of these per month, and they're available all on Patreon. And if you join us on there, you also get access to me for an hour once a month, as well as past recordings where I'm answering health questions along with my yearly maintenance schedule, Q&A sessions, shout outs. You'll get access to commercial-free Extreme Health Radio episodes, possibly some really great ebooks, and you can vote on which protocols we're going to do next. And maybe we'll do some giveaways. It's really just a great community. So come join us on there. It'll be on a link on today's show page, but thank you guys. You rock. And I'll see you on Patreon. Well, if you read Adam Bergstrom's book called The Omega-3 Barcodes, and you read all of Ray Peat's work on omega-3s and polyunsaturated fatty acids, you'll be pretty convinced that they are. Do I consume omega-3s? Yeah, I consume a little bit. Do I go out of my way to avoid them? I do. But they, are snuck in a lot of foods, right? So how do I mitigate that? I mitigate that with vitamin E and lowering inflammatory processes of all kinds that are unrelated. And so, you can't be too crazy. Like I remember one time I was listening to Ray Peat and he was talking about how, he was making sure that the coconut oil that he consumed had no PUFAs in it. And he stopped eating egg yolks because they had PUFAs. It's like at some point you can't just be, I can't live like that. I've got twins, 2 businesses I'm trying to run here. I'm trying to just live life. You can't go way overboard like that. So, do your best. In my opinion, if you really want to go deeper into this, I have a highlight on Instagram called PUFAs, and you can look at more information about that. And I don't generally, I've read Adam Bergstrom's book, The Omega-3 Barcodes, and I've read many of Ray Peat's articles. And I'm not a fan of omega-3s, so I do my best to avoid them, but I don't stress about it. I did find a study though here, lipofuscin mechanisms of formation and increase with age. It says here, numerous studies indicate that the formation of lipofuscin is due to the oxidative alteration of macromolecules by oxygen-deprived free radicals generated in reactions catalyzed by redox-active iron of low molecular weight. And two principal explanations for the increase of lipofuscin with age have been suggested. Here's another one called fish oil-induced yellow fat disease in rats. It says here, yellow fat disease was induced in young rats given a vitamin E deficient diet supplemented with 15% fish oil. The changes in adipose tissue of this oil-induced disorder were different from those of natural yellow fat disease in horse, pigs, and mink. So apparently you can induce yellow fat disease and lipofuscinosis by supplementing a rat with 15% fish oil and depriving it of vitamin E. So I just take my vitamin E from Life and, call it quits. I don't stress too much about it. I think that's a real problem, by the way. I think a lot of people stress way too much about this stuff, and it's the stress that'll kill you even faster. Okay, ways to ease extreme joint pain. Wow. Okay, so extreme joint pain, I would probably at that point follow a GAPS diet to seal the gut lining. I would do rectal insufflations to heal leaky gut so that there's no undigested food particles getting into your bloodstream, which congregate into your joints where parasites tend to accumulate because there's a lack of blood flow and a lack of oxygen. So I would make sure to work on your gut health to prevent that from happening again. In order to lower overall internal inflammation, you want electrons in the body. So the way to do that is mostly grounding and take antioxidants like vitamin C and vitamin E. And you could do things if you wanted to go a little bit more extreme, like you could do prolotherapy, you could do, joints, if you have DMSO, you can rub some magnesium with DMSO into your joints. You can do neural therapy into your joints. You can do stem cells or regenikine into your joints. A lot of things you could do into your joints, but that seems like rather invasive, when inflammation is a chronic issue like that. You want to focus on liver health because the liver has over 500 functions. You want to focus on gut health and making sure that your gut health is optimal. I'm finishing up a digestion Patreon protocol right now on that. And, there's lots of things that you can do to make sure that your gut health is working properly. And then to lower inflammation, I would take supplements like magnesium and copper and, start there. But, you might want to get some massage or, you can get stuff for your joints or do mobility work, stuff like that to get more rotation into your joints and blood flow. But again, if you need blood flow to a joint, you have to figure out why your joints are inflamed and you have so much inflammation, but, why your oxygen levels aren't high enough to get the blood there. So do you have dirty blood? Do you need to clean your blood up? So you could do that with PEMF, pulse electromagnetic field therapy. You could do it with B vitamins and magnesium. So this is like I was talking about this recently. This is an invitation for life change, right? Anytime we have a disease or chronic nagging injury or something going on that we're trying to work on, look at it as an invitation for life change, like Jim Rohn used to talk about. If you don't know who Jim Rohn is, listen to the Challenge to Succeed audio series. That will blow your mind. But really, anything that we have going on in the physical is designed to force us to grow and to learn and to expand. And that's really the only way that we're going to do that is through pain, through physical, corporeal pain. And so that's why we have these bodies, to express something wrong so that we can overcome it and learn and grow and have compassion and help others, right? So just look at it for an invitation for life change. And so another question, how to get inflammation down in the body. So again, everything starts with liver and gut health. So work on the liver, work on the gut. There's lots of different things you could do with liver, from liver cleanses. You could do liver gallbladder flushes as outlined in the book, The Amazing Liver Gallbladder Flush by Andreas Moritz. His recipe is the best one I found. I like theirs better than David Jubb's. And then you could do castor oil packs. You can do rectal insulfations of ozone. You could do coffee enemas. You can take milk thistle. You can do a parasite cleanse. You can do PEMF therapy over your liver. There's a lot of different things you can do over your liver and resolve anger issues and stuff like that. So the liver is like a rice machine. I forget who I heard say that, but it's powerful because rice machines are so powerful. And the liver is the body's rice machine. And it has so many functions, everything from converting T4 to T3 to detoxifying heavy metals for the catalyzation of different antioxidants like superoxide dismutase, catalase, glutathione peroxidase. All of these really key important antioxidants are created and generated in the liver, creating bile for the gallbladder. There's so much, creating hormones and signaling proteins. I mean, the liver is incredible in terms of everything it does. So focusing on liver health would be key, and colon health as well. All right. So there we go. How to use DMSO? Can it be used for wrinkles? DMSO, I don't think it could be used for wrinkles. I don't think. I've never heard of anyone using it for that. I would read the book by Amanda Vollmer called Healing with DMSO, if you really want to learn about what it does. And also Morton Walker has a good book on it as well. And you could do IV DMSO. You can get, DMSO, you can drink it. I don't recommend anything like that, just so you know, but it's pretty powerful stuff. It's a solvent. So essentially what you can do with it is you can put it on, like, let's say you have a cold or something, or like a cough. You can open up a capsule of olive leaf extract, for example, and rub it in with DMSO. And essentially what that does as a solvent is it penetrates deep into the tissues, and you can get those medicines and those molecules to go right through the skin and the barrier there and go right into the organs where it needs to be. And so there's some really awesome uses for DMSO. I've never heard of anyone using it for wrinkles. But typically the way I use it is I just have it around. So, if I have an injury or something like that, or if I have a cold or flu, I might use it in that way. But I don't really use it that often. It's just kind of there in my medicine chest in case something does happen. And so that's kind of how I use DMSO. And I would recommend Amanda Vollmer's book. And you can buy the DMSO from her, which is what I recommend, dmso.store. So hopefully that helps. Okay. And then this next question just is one word: neuropathy. So there's no real context here because you just say neuropathy. So I'll try to share a few things that I can remember about that. Typically with neuropathy, the first thing I think about is, have you recently been diagnosed with diabetes? What's your pancreas like? How does your liver function? What's your blood sugar levels when you wake up? Do you have type 2 diabetes? That's the first thing I think about when I hear someone say neuropathy. What I would do though, just to see if you get a reaction, is I would get a pulse oximeter. And let's say you're having neuropathy like in your toes or something. I'll get a pulse oximeter, get the reading on that, and try in different positions. And then I would get some liquid B vitamins and some DMSO. And the liquid B vitamins I have experience with is the ones from Premier Research Labs, and it's called Max Stress B, and they're really good. It's a great product, and no financial affiliation. The only companies I'm affiliated with on this, podcast is I like Lifeblood and I like MitoLife, but Premier Research Labs makes a great liquid B vitamin supplement, and you can put that right over the areas you're having neuropathy and rub it in with DMSO and see if you get any change in the pulse oximeter. And so what you could also consider doing too, and it sounds counterintuitive, but you could try inclined bed therapy. And that's the opposite of what you think it is. So inclined bed therapy is when you raise the head of your bed by 6 inches. And we did a whole show about this, and I believe we talked a little bit about neuropathy in that show. along with preventing heart disease and cancer and all kinds of stuff, because it has some sort of an effect on the nervous system and how the blood flows throughout the body. So I would try inclined bed therapy and do the DMSO with the B vitamins and really look into the diabetes aspect. And I just released the diabetes protocol on Patreon. So that one is available if you want to get access to the type 2 diabetes protocol there on Patreon. That one's available on all 3 levels that we have. So really when I think about like, how is the health of your blood? Is it able to deliver oxygen properly? So that's something to consider. When it comes to the nerves and stuff like that, the nerves really love B vitamins and healthy fats. So look at, stop doing vegetable oils and seed oils and replace them with healthy ancestral fats. Let's see. The other thing I would do is alpha lipoic acid. Lots of studies on that and neuropathy. You could just look that up on Medline or on PubMed. You can find alpha lipoic acid and neuropathy. But one of the biggest things that I thought would be good for this is HCG. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with a Dr. Patil, Patil. And HCG stands for human chorionic gonadotropin. And unfortunately, you have to get this by prescription. I have heard of homeopathic forms of HCG, so you may want to look into that. I've never done it myself. But according to this Dr. Patel, he was able to restore nerve endings in a completely severed spinal cord with HCG injections. So, I mean, that is incredible. So imagine the implications for that. So yeah, it's Patil, Dr. Patel. Just look up Dr. Patel, look up HCG, spinal cord injuries, and you'll see that, for neuropathy, this HCG has been able to be extremely beneficial. So look that up as well. I don't know where you could get it. So, you're kind of on your own for that, how to get HCG. I know there's a doctor, I read her book a long time ago. I forget what her name is. I'll try to look her up. But the last thing I would do for neuropathy too is B1 and B12 injections, if you're able to do that. Typically when you do B12 injections, they're always by themselves. But if you're able to add B1 into that, along with the B12, that's going to be a really powerful combination. In fact, it was in the Merck manual, I think in like 1950 or 51. You can look that up. It's crazy. So lots that you can do with neuropathy, but I believe the source is going to be the diabetes. So you really want to look at that if you can. Okay. So man, I'm never going to get through these questions. Okay. Hydrogen HASD, please, from Brazil. Okay. I don't know what ASD is. I'm a big fan of hydrogen. If you're wondering, I use the AquaCure. It's in our store. I breathe the gas. So remember how I told you I drink 3 mason jars full of water a day? The first mason jar is infused with ozone, and the second 2 are infused with hydrogen. So I drink hydrogen water and ozone water most days. Okay, top supplements you recommend and don't recommend during pregnancy. Oh, wow. Okay, again, not medical advice, just what I would do if I were a woman and I were pregnant. First thing I do is I get on iodine. Quite a few studies on the impact of iodine on the development of fetal brain tissue and overall IQ status when the baby is born. So typically babies whose mothers consumed iodine during pregnancy had much higher IQs. So there's studies on that. I think I shared one of those studies on our Instagram under the iodine highlight, but you can look into that too. So iodine would be top of my list. I would just eat, if your diet is any different, has to be different for pregnancy. The only thing that should be different for pregnancy is just the amount that you eat. So your diet should already be like a pregnancy diet. So typically for me, that would be ancestral living, ancestral foods, large amounts of saturated fat, milk, eggs, cheese, butter, organ meats, beef liver. One thing I would focus on though myself is strengthening the connective tissue because of the expanding skin in the belly. So for that, what I would do is vitamin E. You could also rub vitamin E on your belly as well as like castor oil or olive oil, stuff like that. But, to strengthen the connective tissue, I always think about vitamin C, copper, because copper helps to make lysyl oxidase, which knits together gelatin and elastin inside the body, or collagen and elastin, I should say. And so I would do vitamin E, vitamin C. I would do copper. I would do sulfur. The sulfur I like is from a company called the Cellular Matrix Study. You can look that up. I think it's cellularmatrixstudy.com. That's a pure organic sulfur. And then silica as well. So for silica, I like the Alta Silica, which is a food-based one, or organo living silica. The Alta Silica you can get, I think at choosetobehealthy.com. That's where we get ours, or it may be on iHeart or Amazon. And I also like the organo living silica as well. So vitamin C, vitamin E, copper. I would do lots of gelatin, and if you're able to make like a broth from chicken feet or pig ears, something like that, to really make a deep stock like that, and just consume that as much as you can. And then I would be on just regular supplements like magnesium. I would be on regular supplements like a lot of the ones from MitoLife. I would take a Shilajit. The magnesium I would get like my favorites are bicarbonate, glycinate, and malate. But I would do vitamin C, vitamin E, all the main supplements, and just eat a whole food diet, that's rich in minerals and stuff like that. And I would probably also supplement with like Intramax. I like that one a lot. I do that one a lot. And, I would just avoid the prenatal vitamins, the seed oils, excess sugar, processed foods, gluten, all that kind of stuff that's in normal food that we call normal. So I would do that. And just get outside, drink lots of water, laugh and be joyous and be happy and lower your stress levels, take care of yourself, and try to really enjoy your time, as much as you can. And you're going to create really healthy kids that way. Let's see. What do I think about omega-3? I did that one. Joint pain. Okay. Neuropathy. Okay. So this is what supplements do you recommend during pregnancy or not? Okay. Good documentaries in support of homeschooling. That's a good question. Well, we did a show years ago on unschooling. So that was pretty interesting. I would just look up, I don't know about any documentaries per se on homeschooling, but I would look up, if you really want to know about the origins of the education system, go to YouTube and type in. So Methylene Blue is quickly becoming one of my favorite tools to use my overall health strategy and immune system strengthening. It's an amazing substance. It was first put together in 1876 by German scientist and chemist named Hendrik Caro. Later, it was used in the treatment of malaria by Paul Gutman and Paul Ehrlich in 1891. But then later, it was synthesized into a popular drug that we can't talk about today, starting in I and ending in N. So what I love about it, though, is that it is an electron donor, electron acceptor, and an electron recycler. It helps to change the conformation of hemoglobin in the red blood cells so the hemoglobin can carry more oxygen to every single tissue in your body. And it also helps to clean up senescent cells. It increases mitochondrial biogenesis, increasing ATP production. It works as a monoamine oxidase inhibitor, increasing dopamine and serotonin. It's a nootropic. It's antimicrobial. It's an antidepressant. It's antioxidant, and therefore it's neuroprotective. And I like the company Lifeblood because it is a liquid tincture. And I usually use a small amount, like 1 or 2 drops per day. But then if I have some health challenge going on, like a cold or flu, I might do 20 to 30 drops in 1 ounce water 3 times a day. So I'll go heavy on the Methylene Blue. But what I also like is you can nebulize it too and get it into your lung tissue, or you could use it topically on your skin, although it will stain your skin. If this is interesting to you, check out the book called The Ultimate Guide to Methylene Blue by Mark Sloan. It'll blow your mind. Or you can listen to episode 731 by Adam Marifiotti from Lifeblood. So check out Methylene Blue, add it to your stack on today's show page or in our store, biochargeme.com, and the code EHR10 will get you a 10% discount. John Taylor Gatto Gatto. He's no longer with us. Type in John Taylor Gatto Ultimate History Lesson or 5-hour interview. And I've watched this interview. It's 5 hours and 47 minutes, I believe. And I've watched it maybe 5 times at least. I typically watch things on double speed or 1.5 speed like that when I'm sitting in my sauna. But I've watched it multiple times, and you'll learn about the origin of the education system in America and the Rockefellers and what they did and how it started and how it's unbelievable, especially the end. Oh my gosh, the end of that it'll blow your mind. Anyway, I like, as far as curriculums and stuff, there's a series of books, an 11-part series called Uncle Eric that you could look up. I'll look up that. I think you can get them on Amazon. And there's also a cool website called thekidsguide.com. And you could look up that and see what's there for you. A lot of really cool stuff there. And I know that Hillsdale College has some really good courses too in terms of curriculum. There's lots of good curriculums. I've saved multiple ones because our kids are 5 and they'll start school sometime, but we're not going to do regular school. We're going to do homeschool. So yeah, sorry about that. I don't know any documentaries. I know there's like unschooling conferences too. I know you can look up that. I forgot what the names of those ones are, but okay, how to reverse receding gums. All right, so what I would do is I would start with overall, oral care and figure out what's going on with your bones. We have a whole bone health protocol because your teeth are essentially bone, right? So what's going on with your bones? What's the pH of your blood like to be robbing calcium? Is your blood at an incorrect pH so that your blood has to rob calcium from the bones? Are you taking boron? Are you taking vitamin K? Are you taking silica and magnesium? Are you taking gelatin and copper? Those are really, your teeth are made from this stuff. And so making sure that your bone health is really key and on point is important for that. So for receding gums, I look at vitamin C to start with. Lots of data on that. And anything that's going to be good for connective tissue is going to be good for your gum health too, right? So that's silica, sulfur, magnesium. That's going to be gelatin, copper, all those are going to be really good for your gums. Okay, ways to ease extreme joint pain. I think I did that one, right? Yeah, I did that one. Okay. Whoops, let's see. That must be the last one. Oh, no, let's do a couple more. All right, we're pretty close to finishing up here. Okay. Is fasting good for women with thyroid issues? Oh, wow. If I were a woman with thyroid issues, I wouldn't fast. But the thyroid could be, very, very well could be a lack of iodine. And because there's a lack of iodine, you have fluoride toxicity, which directly impacts thyroid health. Or it could be something simple you're probably not even thinking about, holding your phone emitting blue light right next to your thyroid, just by looking at your phone, so that could be impacting your thyroid as well. I know from a recall healing perspective, thyroid health has to do with the suppression of your opinions and thoughts and not being able to speak your truth. And so that's connected to thyroid health as well. Also, whether you have a low thyroid or a fast, or what is it, a hyperthyroid or hypothyroid, is connected to wanting to control time and to speed things up or to feel like life is passing you by. And so there's a connection to time in your thyroid as well. So there's lots of things that you can do for thyroid. Fasting wouldn't be something that I would recommend. There's a lot of, differing opinions on that, but I would look at, what's going on with my thyroid. Do I have mercury poison? Do I have fluoride poison? Do I have a depletion of copper? All of these things would be, things I would look at for thyroid first. Let's see here. All right. Pregnancy and nutrition, thyroid. Okay. Can you please discuss brain and pituitary tumors? Whoa. Okay. This is kind of crazy with Instagram, there's no real context, right? You can't, it's kind of good in a sense because otherwise, I've received emails before like this where it's like a 5-page email and you're like, I can't read all this, right? But then on the flip side, you get no context, right? So I will say though that we did an interview years ago and I don't remember when it was or who it was, but it was a lady who reversed her brain tumors using the ketogenic diet. I'm not really a fan of the ketogenic diet or any diet in particular. I'm a fan of just being in balance, I'm a fan of trying things. If you feel called to, or if you have a tumor, or if you have something like this going on, I'm a fan of just trying stuff, right? So if you feel called to do something like a ketogenic diet because you're trying to overcome something, then by all means go for it. But she was following, I forget, someone's book or advice, and she had a really powerful story on our radio show about overcoming brain tumor with ketogenic diet. So that's something to look into. In my back pocket, I would always have someone like Dr. Stanislaw Brzezinski just kind of in the back of my mind. You can find him at brzezinskiclinic.com, and he works with things called anti-neoplastons, which is a derivative of urine therapy, actually, urine. And he has tremendous success with brain tumors with anti-neoplastons. And because of that, the government's been trying to shut him down, right? You don't want to have a guy out there helping people overcome cancer. You want to make sure that you control everyone and suppress cures so that you can keep people sick and sell them chemo, right? So there's actually a full documentary, an hour and 50-minute documentary you can watch on him called Forbidden Cures, I think. But his name is Dr. Stanislaw Brzezinski. And you just look him up on YouTube, and he's got a clinic in Houston, Texas. So I would just keep him in my back pocket and know also that there was a lady on our show who reversed her brain tumor with frankincense, essential oil of frankincense. So that's on the table as well. So that's something to look into and research. And you can learn, we actually had to remove that episode because it was so crazy. She didn't want to remove it, but she was sort of being forced to. It was a whole long story, but I mean, that's just like the suppression, right? So now I can't even send that to anyone because in fact, it might be on our Odysee channel though. It might be on Odysee. If you look Odyssee, it's like a YouTube alternative. I think it might be on there. So the other things I look at for brain, so with brain tumors, it's really kind of challenging because the skull can't expand, right? So if something grows too big, the skull is not going to expand. So, you got to take it out, right? So sometimes that's necessary. But other options I would look at are Rife frequencies. I would look at ozone therapy in any and all of its capacities, from EBOO, to a 10 pass through IV or rectal insufflations and drinking the water. So ozone therapy and all of its applications would be something that would be high on my list, as well as IV vitamin C therapy. That would be very high on my list, and being on an IV or a vitamin C protocol. And you can look up the work of Dr. Frederick Klenner on that from the 1940s. Then I would look at hyperbaric oxygen therapy. Methylene blue will be something else I would look at as well. And I can't say anything, any of these cure anything. I can't say that, but this is just what I would do. And the final thing is I would look at the work of Dr. Mirko Beljanski, Mirko, Mirko Beljanski. And you'll be pleasantly surprised when you read the books written about him. So that's what I would do if I were in that situation. All right. So I hope I answered that. Okay. Discuss brain injury. Okay. Got that. Which three things attribute most to achieving your one level of optimal health? I wouldn't say I have, I feel great. I feel like I'm doing great. I'm 47 years old and I feel like I'm 20. So I feel good. But I would say, that's a good question. What three things do you attribute to most achieving your one level off? I would say the things that impact my health the most are sleep, stress reduction, and I'll talk a little bit about that in just a second. Water and being outside, I would say. So it's funny because none of that involves supplements or any therapies or any, biohacking stuff, right? But going to bed and just optimizing sleep as much as I can. The more I do that, the better I always feel. So sleep. And then what was the other one? Stress reduction. So stress reduction for me is like multiple things. It's not just reducing stress. So there's things that you can do, like meditation, you can get a massage, right? You can do acupuncture, whatever. You can sit in a sauna, you could do, like, I like to work out, and those all reduce stress. If you do stuff like that, it definitely reduces stress. But then on the flip side, you got to build into your week doing something fun. Like, remember when you're a kid and you were just so excited to go hang out with your friends and go see what adventure you could do, right? Or go throughout the neighborhood, or, we used to go on skate trips. We would go skating. When I was, 10, 11 years old, my brother and I and my friend, we would go skating. We'd be gone on a Saturday from when the sun came up till the sun came down. We'd be gone. We'd go miles and miles and miles and skate in people's backyards and all that stuff, right? And that was just so much fun. So as an adult, we lose track of that, right? So we get it. There's no real fun anymore. So try to build something like that at least once a week. So for me, that looks like, if you see my Instagram, you'll see I'm, at the beach. I like to surf. I like to play basketball. I like to play tennis. These are all things for me that are really fun. Working out is not really fun, but it does reduce stress. But both of them, I think, are necessary. Some things that are fun, that could be going out to have a glass of wine with a friend, meeting a friend for, coffee without the kids around, going for a walk. It doesn't have to be anything, something fun could just be getting more laughter in your life, so only what that is. So stress reduction, getting good sleep, drinking water, staying hydrated, and getting outside. To me, those are the best ways to optimize my health. Okay, what else we got? 3 things that attribute. Okay, if you could only eat 3 things and take 3 supplements ever again, what would they be? Oh my gosh, really? It's only 3 things? Wow. What would I eat? 3 things. How boring would life be? I'm pretty good at being able to eat the same thing for a long time without being, getting sick of it. But geez, I don't think there's any 3 foods that a human could eat where they wouldn't get sick of it. But I'd say some sort of, if you're talking about something that's healthy versus something that tastes good. But even if it's, if you do like hamburgers and pizza, after a while, you're not going to, you're going to get sick of that too. As far as 3 supplements, I probably take vitamin E, magnesium, and Shilajit, probably. That's a hard one. Jeez, that's a hard one. I mean, you got to have vitamin C, right? You got to have boron. You got to have copper. Oh, that's a tough one. I don't know. Okay, what to do? Let's do 2 more. What to do for Epstein Barr that has gotten into the brain and lymph? Okay. Wow. Epstein Barr virus. Okay. Well, if you follow the medical medium, Epstein Barr is the cause of every disease known to man, right? So for those that are unfamiliar, Epstein Barr is formerly called the human gamma herpes virus 4. It's one of the 9 known human herpes viruses in that family. And it's the most common virus in humans. So since it's the most common, it could be attributed to so many different things, right? So what it is, it's a double-stranded DNA virus. So, and it a lot of times can lead to like infectious mononucleosis. So it's pretty prevalent. So whenever you're talking about viruses, there's lots you can do. I would start myself with iodine and copper in terms of internal protection. So lots of evidence between both of those and EBV. Then I would look at some other more esoteric kind of things. So did you know that ozone therapy, O3, has been utilized for over 150 years on over 114 different conditions? There's a great paper called Ozone Therapy, a Clinical Review, 2011 by A.M. Elvis. And in there, he says medical O3 is used to disinfect and treat diseases. And the mechanism of action is the inactivation of bacteria, viruses, fungi, yeast, protozoa, and it stimulates oxygen metabolism, and therefore activates the immune system. Now, for me, ozonated water is always used in dental medicines, but it can also be treated on infected wounds, circulatory disorders, geriatric conditions, macular degeneration, viral diseases, rheumatism, arthritis, cancer, SARS, and AIDS. Now, I'm not making medical claims. This is what the Ozone Therapy Clinical Review says. But there's a great machine that we have now from Creatrix Solutions. And I know the owner over there, Eileen, she's a great woman. What I love about this is that it doesn't have a big, heavy tank that you have to carry from room to room. So it's portable. It only needs about 5 minutes to infuse your water with ozone. And what I like to use it for is drinking a big glass of it in the morning. I also use it in my water pick at night. I rinse my mouth out with it after meals. I spray it on any wounds or anything I may have going on my skin. You can spray it on your face before bed. And you can also use it to disinfect and clean your vegetables. You can spray it on your garden to kill bugs on the leaves. You can spray it on your dogs, your animals for any skin conditions. It's an awesome machine. Check it out on today's show page or on our store, biochargeme.com. I would get on the Bob Beck protocol, which is colloidal silver, PEMF therapy, blood electrification, and the consumption of ozonated water. So I would get on the Bob Beck protocol. I would definitely do, since I have a Rife machine, do Rife frequencies for that. What I would also do is probably at least a once a month, if not once a week, for a good 6 months, ultraviolet blood irradiation therapy. And a lot of times what they'll do is they'll combine UBI with ozone in the same treatment. And you could do like a 10 pass, or you could do a single treatment, or you could do EBU, which is even more powerful than standard 10 pass. And then I would invest in an ozone machine and do rectal ozone insufflations. I'd probably do the Cuba protocol, which is 4 weeks on, 2 weeks off, minus weekends. And then do that for a good at least 6 months and see how you feel. So that's 4 weeks on, 2 weeks off. And during the 4 weeks, you skip the weekends. And then I'd also do regular, probably weekly IV vitamin C. And then the vitamin C that I would take during the other days of the week would be, I would start with 1,000 milligrams a day and work all the way up until you reach bowel tolerance. And there's some infections, like AIDS, for example, that require 500,000 milligrams of vitamin C production. So, it's really difficult. If you have a lot of acute stressors going on inside the body, you can take a ton of vitamin C because that's all going to be utilized in dealing with the infection. So there's lots of different, infections or ways that you can improve vitamin C. So you could do liposomal vitamin C. I don't really recommend that one because I don't trust the source of the liposomes, but you could do regular vitamin C, like Dr. Saul once was on our show and he would say whenever he got a cold or flu, he would take 1,000 milligrams every 15 minutes until the flu was gone. And so he would literally sit there with a timer. The timer would go off 15 minutes, boom, he'd take another 1,000 milligrams. So the important thing with that though is you got to drink enough water to make sure, because it's gonna pull fluids from your intestines, and you're gonna poop out a lot. It's gonna be a diarrhea. So if you get to that level, that's bowel tolerance. So you want to back off. But what happens is that you can get dehydrated because of that. So you got to make sure you're drinking enough water with the vitamin C to make sure that is effective for you. So I think, is that it? Oh no, I got a ton more, guys. I'm sorry, I can't do all of these. I wish I could, but I hope you enjoyed the show. And We're going to do a couple other shows, and then we're going to get back to doing some protocol-based shows, which I really like doing because it allows me to do a lot of research. And as you guys know, I love doing research and sharing that, and this is what the Patreon's all about. So, one quick thing I want to share with you on Patreon too is we just added a bunch of new ebooks that are available to our Patreon members, and they're only available in the second and third tier. So there's the it's the basic tier, which is $4.99 a month. And the I'm serious about my health tier, that's the middle tier, that is $14.99 a month. And then the premium tier is $29.99 a month. But the ebooks I added to the middle tier was Making the Right Dental Choices. That book is awesome, because you're really going to want to make sure you don't go to a dentist that's going to screw your health up. And then the other report is a baking soda maple syrup cancer treatment with a full recipe on how to do it. And then advanced applications of ozone therapy. So that's on the middle tier. And then the premium tier, I just added those ones plus MMS advanced protocols and a really good book called One Cancer Cure. And that book goes into the detail and the story of how a guy reversed a particular kind of cancer with one mineral. And he got tested before and after and shares those results in that book about how that mineral reversed the extra cells that were growing in his body. It's really powerful. It's called One Cancer Cure. And then the other two are Physician's Warranty on Vaccine Safety. This is awesome because you could take this to your doctor and it's a contractual agreement in written form that you can have him sign that requires his signature to sign off on the fact that the vaccine is going to be safe for all of these different ingredients that are in them. It's powerful stuff. And then the fourth one in this premium tier is a report called A Cure for Cancer Hidden in Plain Sight. And this was written by a particular doctor who used a common remedy that you can get on Amazon, of all places, for really cheap that reverses or has shown to reverse extra cells in people's bodies. I won't say the C word, but it's really powerful. So it's called A Cure for Cancer Hidden in Plain Sight. And so those are available to our Patreon members. If you want to join up on there, you can. I'm releasing 3 protocols every single month. If you're on the basic tour, you get 1. If you're on the middle tour, you get 2 tier. And if you're on the premium tier, you get 3 protocols a month. I'm going to be doing live Q&As, and there's so much more I'm adding to it as well. So that's a great place to get my latest research, and I update those as well. So anytime I come across new information, I update those protocols. So they're always on there. All right. So is that it? I apologize for those of you who wrote questions. I couldn't get to all of them. I really apologize. But I want to thank our sponsors, Patreon. And did I thank Lisa Switzer, Michael Strong, Allison B., Amber Poloni, Ingleth Cooper, Jennifer, and Julie Neck? I appreciate you guys being Patreon premium members. If you guys are interested in the methylene blue that I mentioned, that's available on Lifeblood, and our coupon code there is EHR10. And if you're interested in most of the supplements I talk about in today's is on MitoLife, which is the ones I recommend as well. And our coupon code there is EHR15 for a 15% discount. And then the Relax Far Infrared Sauna, another great healing tool that I highly recommend. And the Ozone, it's called the Trioxy Fresh from Creatrix Solutions, and that's the machine that I use to make the ozonated water. So that one is like $250 or $300, I think, and you can get a couple add-ons to it if you want, which is what we did. But that's a kitchen countertop ozone machine that you can use the water. One final thing on the Epstein Barr virus. Look up the Belzhansky protocol. I forgot to mention that. So that's 4 botanicals: Paupera, Rauwolfia vomitoria, yellow leaf ginkgo, and RNA fragments. So look up Beljanski. All right, guys. Thank you to the sponsors. I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate you guys listening. Thank you so much. I'll put links to everything I talk about on today's show page in the show notes down below, no matter where you're listening. And then I put them at extremehealthradio.com/761. You guys rock. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing our shows. If you enjoy the show, I would be stoked if you could leave us a review. I'd be super pumped. Like, that would be awesome. I realize it's hard to do that. You're busy. I'm busy. It's really hard to do. But just go into whatever app you're using. Just give us a 5-star and say, this podcast is awesome. If you don't have to write a lot, just write something really short and quick and give us a 5-star. I'd be so stoked if you did that. I realize you're super busy, but that would mean a lot to me. Because the more people that do that, the higher our show gets rated and the more people we can reach and help. So I really appreciate you guys rock. If there's anything I could do, let me know, and I'll catch you guys on the next episode.
No material on this blog is intended to suggest that you should not seek professional medical care. Always work with qualified medical professionals, even if you educate yourself in the field of live food, nutrition, and alternative medicine. I'm not a doctor, nor am I offering readers medical advice of any kind. None of the information offered here should be interpreted as a diagnosis of any disease, nor an attempt to treat or prevent any disease or condition. While information in this blog is discussed in the context of numerous conditions, it can be dangerous to take action based on any information in this blog or to start any health program without first consulting a health professional. The content found here is for informational purposes only and is in no way intended as medical advice, as a substitute for medical counseling, or as a treatment/cure for any disease or health condition, and nor should it be continued as such. Always work with a qualified healthcare professional before making any changes to your diet, prescription drug use, lifestyle, or exercise activities. This information is provided as is, and the reader/viewer assumes all risks from the use, non-use, or misuse of this information.